So, how do you stay valuable when the world is filling up with autonomous AI? It's probably one of the biggest questions on anyone's mind right now. And today we're going to break down a really compelling answer, a framework called Human Alpha. Think of it as your personal strategy for this new age of AI agents.
Right now, in 2024, we kind of think of AI as a co-pilot, right? It helps us write code, draft emails, crunch some data. It's helpful. But the shift that's happening, almost silently, is just massive. Because by 2026, we're not going to be talking about co-pilots. We'll be talking about agents, fully autonomous systems that can handle entire projects from start to finish, all by themselves.
And this leads to a pretty blunt question. If AI agents can execute, say, 95% of what we currently call knowledge work faster and more accurately than any human, well, what's left for us? Where do we fit in? This isn't some far-off future problem. This is happening now. The answer, or at least a powerful one, is this concept of human alpha. And look, this isn't about trying to beat AI at its own game. That's a race you're just not going to win. It's about doubling down on the things AI by its very nature just can't do. That's where our future value is. Let's just look at this side by side. An AI agent, it's a master of execution. It operates on probability. It looks at everything that's ever existed and creates more of it. We call that 1 to n. It's all based on the past. Human alpha, though, is the total opposite. It's not about execution. It's about setting the direction. It's about understanding deep, messy context. And it's about creating something totally new, the 0 to 1. It's inventing the future, not just repackaging the past.
So here's the core idea, the big takeaway. If you want to be AI-proof, you have to stop trying to be a better processor than a machine. It's a losing battle. The only winning move is to shift your entire focus away from the doing and toward these uniquely human skills that make up human alpha.
Okay, so what does that actually mean in the real world? Let's get practical and break down the 5 irreplaceable skills that are at the very heart of this new skill stack.
First on the list, high-stakes contextual nuance. This really gets to a fundamental difference between us and an AI. An AI runs on probability. It just looks for the most likely pattern in the data. We, on the other hand, run on context.
This example just perfectly captures the whole idea. An AI agent looks at a spreadsheet and says, yep, a 10% budget cut makes perfect sense. But you, with your human alpha, you know that particular 10% cut is going to make your lead architect quit on the spot, which will completely torpedo a $50 million merger. The AI sees the data. You see the stuff that's not in the data, the office politics, the team morale, the fragile egos. That's the huge gap between calculation and actual wisdom.
And the takeaway here is so important. In this new world, your value isn't just about the tasks you can do. It's directly tied to the complexity of the human context you can successfully manage. The messier, the better. All right, skill number 2 is something an AI can never, ever have: ethical and legal liability. Because at the end of the day, someone has to be on the hook.
It all comes down to what's called the sore throat principle. You know, when something goes wrong, a product fails, a data breach happens, you need a single throat to choke. You need one person to stand up and take accountability. You can't fire an algorithm. You can't drag a piece of code in front of the board of directors. You need a person.
This makes the simple act of signing off on something incredibly valuable. Being that person who can look at the work an AI agent has done and say, I've reviewed it and I take full responsibility, that becomes a high-value, totally AI-proof job. Companies will always pay a huge premium for a human to own the risk.
Now for our third skill. This one takes us into the realm of pure creation, first principle synthesis. This is all about genuine creativity and innovation.
You see, AI is incredible at 1 to n. It can ingest all of human knowledge and create 1,000 slightly different versions of what already exists. It's a master of the past. But we humans, we can do 0 to 1. We can create a brand new idea, a totally novel framework where no data even existed before. We don't just remix the past, we literally invent the future.
Just think about it like this. An AI can analyze every single data stack ever built and tell you how to build the most optimized version based on all that history. But it can never step back and say, you know what, this entire way of thinking about data stacks is wrong. We need a completely new philosophy. That kind of breakthrough thinking, that's human alpha.
Okay, skill number 4. This might be the most deeply human skill of them all: high conflict negotiation and persuasion. An AI can get really good at simulating emotion, but it can't actually feel empathy.
It doesn't have any real skin in the game. It can present data, sure, but it can't walk into a tense boardroom and manage a dozen conflicting egos, hidden fears, and personal agendas to somehow get everyone pointing in the same direction. That takes real, lived experience and social intelligence.
And let's just be real for a second. When your career is on the line, or your company, or millions of dollars in capital, you're not going to be persuaded by a chatbot. No way. You need to look another person in the eye and build genuine trust. In those critical moments, that human connection is everything.
And that brings us to the fifth and final skill, the one that really pulls all the others together. It's the ultimate skill, becoming an architect. This is maybe the single most AI-proof role you can have.
You can think of this as the puppeteer skill. The whole game is changing. It's no longer about being the person who does the work. It's about being the person who designs the work for a team of AI agents to go and execute. You stop being one of the puppets, and you become the one pulling the strings.
So how does an architect actually operate? Well, first, you set the strategic goal. You define the why. Second, you design the whole workflow, breaking down the problem and assigning tasks to different AI agents. Third, you take all their raw output and you synthesize it, pulling it together into a single, cohesive strategic insight. And then finally, you direct the outcome. You make that final, critical, human-led decision. You're not a contributor anymore. You're the conductor of the orchestra.
When you boil it all down, it comes to a fundamental choice. It's a choice every single one of us has to make, and we have to start making it today. Are you going to be a processor, or are you going to be a director? Because the economy of tomorrow won't really value people who can process information or do the work. AI agents are going to handle that. The real value, the real money is going to be in directing the outcome. Being AI-proof means you stop trying to be a better processor and you start becoming a world-class director.
And look, this isn't some distant future we're talking about. The shift from co-pilot to agent is happening right under our noses. So the last question isn't for me to answer. It's for you to think about. By 2026, which one will you be?
So,